सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant, and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai-Ram to all of you. We welcome everyone to the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. We are grateful to Swami that he is giving us opportunity to participate in this Gita Jnana Yajna. So we are all blessed, whoever is present, receive the Swami's grace and blessings. So this last few months, we are talking about the chapter 8, the Akshara Parabrahma, how to attain Brahman. By the way, I would like to invite, we are all old-timers, there is our friends from Germany visiting, Manfred Vinci and his wife Alexandra. So they have been doing lots of work for many years. He is the zone chair. With that dedication, he came already 2 weeks before the conference. His conference start. And people who are locally here, they take a long time to come just before. He came already and willing to do anything in the organization, both he and that. That is, we have dedicated people around the world. So anyway, coming back to the theme. So this Akshara Parabrahma Yoga is how to attain the Lord who is Brahman. Because there are two Brahmans. We have said there is only one Brahman, but one is God without any name, form, attributes, time, space, and causation. That is the ultimate truth. But in His infinite compassion for us who have body consciousness, He takes a human form time to time, like as Jesus Christ, as Buddha, as Rama, Krishna, Shirdi Sai, Sathya Sai. So, but here, through that, we should ultimately go to the Akshara Parabrahma. That is what the whole secret He is teaching us. So almost Swami, even though chapter is only one, for the last 4 chapters, chapter 14, chapter 15, 16, and 17, now we are coming 18, is explaining in detail. So that is why we are blessed that Gita was given in the middle of the battlefield. You can't hear a large discourse to Arjuna, he has to go and fight. So here Swami in his kindness is explained each shloka in a detail. So we need to reminisce and recollect and dive deep. So the main points we discussed, because we are coming to the end of the chapter now, chapter 8, and going to chapter 9, which is Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yogam. That means secret, royal secret. Lord Krishna says that is a royal secret how to get the liberation. So in there, first he says, what is Akshara Parabrahmana? Hope I don't want to go, it will take a long time. So to recollect, so he says 8 qualities. What is Supreme Parabrahman? What are the age? It is never ending, it is no beginning, no end, it's always it's subtler than the subtlest, bigger than the biggest, and is like a more effulgent than thousands of suns, is beyond darkness. So he gave all those qualities. First he described, you need to know the goal. That is the goal to attain for human life. Once you know the goal, what is the path? Just he said, if you think about God in the last moment, he says clearly, he said, Om. Om is the representation of this Nirakara, Nirguna Brahman, God without name and form. The others have names, Rama, Krishna, Sai, Jesus. But this Om is the closest representation, sound representation for the Nirguna Nirakara Brahman. And the Lingam in the form closest to that. So he says you attain through this Brahman with the intense one-pointed devotion and having a steady faith. That's what he was telling. So if we chant Om on the last breath, Lord Krishna assured, and Swami said that too, you will be one with me, you will be merged. He gave the promise. But you should be know that you will be able to think about Om, chant Pranava at the last moment. And what do we chant in our Om is so, it includes all forms. Like what do we say, sing in our Arti? Omkara Rupa Sai. So that means he is the Om. So just we need, and same thing with Ganesha, same thing with Rudra, Shiva. So Om is such a powerful thing. So, or you can chant even your chosen deity form. Swami, I repeatedly said, Swami wrote that letter to the teachers and students in Vrindavan. A person who has the name of Sai on his lips all the time, he is a Jivan Mukta. You are liberated while alive. You don't need to, we think we are going to heaven or just emerge after death. No. While alive, we'll be liberated. We always think about God, sleeping, waking, dreaming, dreamless sleep, all the time. It should become part of you. And then last week, one of the mechanisms for that is satsang, what we are having. People, like-minded people who love God and who serve God, get together, that intensifies our spiritual practices and love for God. And last time also, Swami, last week we discussed, part of as a book learning, Vedas, Upanishads, Gita, we can quote Swami's quotes. That is all bookish knowledge. Swami says that won't take us to the goal. So you should have practical knowledge. That means you need to practice what is the teaching. And even you practice, that is up to a limit. You should have experiential knowledge. You should be able to experience. So once you experience that bliss, then you are stuck. You will be doing, like the Swami example, when you go to him, you know about him. But once you go there, you are attracted. But once you experience his love, then you don't want to leave it. You are hold on. That is because you experience that love. You cannot compare whatever books you read, whatever people may say, your own personal experience with God. That is the ultimate. So what all you can do is go on reinforcing and do that by satsang, by your practices, by service and all that. So that is what you said. Satsang is another great way to, that is another way to go get Jivan Mukti. We talked about Adi Shankara saying, Satsangatve Nisangatvam. Once you have holy company, you should have detachment. How do you know if you have holy company? You should get detachment. You should not be interested too much in the world. If you are in the company of people or you are more craving for sense pleasures, that means it's not a good company. You want to go some Las Vegas, or you want to go this gambling, or this too many restaurants, anything sense pleasures is not. It should, first quality of holy company is nisangatvam. You should have displeasure for the worldly craving. Nisangatve, once you have that detachment, you won't have delusion. Nirmohatve nischala. Then once you delusion is gone, you're always steady in the stage of equanimity and bliss. Nischala tatve jivan mukti. Once you are that, that is also liberation while alive. Jivan mukti is one important word Swami used. Even last time we used that. So you are liberated while alive when you are established with that. For that, we should have nirmohatvam. And people say, oh, I want moksha, I want moksha. Swami says, destruction of moha, delusion, is moksha. The next point we discussed is to attain that, there are two things. Once we are born, we are going to die anybody, whether it is insect, bird, animal, human, even avatar. Once you are born, you have to leave. Two things, how to leave the body and when to leave the body. Those are the two things Swami said. How to leave, he said, give a clue. So go on thinking. At the last breath, you will be thinking about God, and then will merge. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. As you think, so you become. But when to die? Does anybody know when we are going to die? He says, Manfred says he knows. You know when you are going, you are telling when to die. No? And also we talked about Uttarayana, Dakshinayana, Shukla Paksha. And Nirupama has done some studies and research on that or things he want to share. So then, but in general, people believe in chronological time-wise, Uttarayana is time between January 14th to the July, and Dakshinayana is between July to December, because they said it is good to leave the body in that first 6 months. You will be with God. If not, other one you need to take a rebirth. But Swami said that is not the correct explanation. That is why the avatars, when they come, they give the inner significance of the same thing which we have been talking. Like Jesus came to show that what the Judaism, what they were talking about, they were going on the letter of the law. So he came to show the inner significance of the scriptures. And same thing, Lord Buddha, when the Hindus were caught up with Vedic rituals, animal sacrifices, he came to show the inner significance, the scriptures. Like that, here Swami told what is Uttarayana, what is Dakshinayana. Now we can continue.
Sai Ram. This is so. In reading this in Gita Vahini, it was actually very, very interesting. So I'll just kind of go through a little bit of what I found. I think there's some slight misconceptions sometimes too when we find information, but Uttarayana, it's the 6-month period when the sun moves to the north. So that's important to remember. And it usually starts around winter solstice. This is considered an auspicious time, and people feel that there's a greater spiritual energy. It's you have longer days starting because winter is ending. We celebrate Makara Sankranti during this time as well. And it's thought that this is a good time for us to start new ventures. It's associated with light, fire as an element. And then those who depart, like Uncle was saying, are liberated during this time. Dakshinayana, it's the 6 months in which the sun moves to the south. So it happens off after summer solstice, and then you start having longer nights and shorter days. So it's associated a little bit with monsoons and winter, autumn, where we have a lot of weather patterns, and it can be a little bit challenging. Now, Dakshi actually means smoke in Sanskrit, so it's associated with smoke and darkness. So this is a time when there are a lot of spiritual practices, and if you think about it, in the fall, as in Hinduism especially, and other faiths, there are so many spiritual times. And obviously we have Navaratri, we have Diwali, we have all of these different times. In the Jewish religion, they also have several auspicious times that they observe. And then, of course, you have the holiday season, which all comes before, around the time of, which starts in the time of Dakshinayana. It is said that those who depart, even if they depart to heaven, they return to the physical existence during this time. I also wanted to mention a little bit about Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. Now, Shukla Paksha literally means bright fortnight. So it starts with the new moon. The new moon's when the moon is kind of at its darkest, where you see the less of it. And what it signifies is really the beginning of a cycle. So then Shukla Paksha is really the waxing fortnight of the moon. And if you think about it, we celebrate Navaratri. It is the 9 nights of the waxing phases of the moon following a new moon in the fall. It is thought that this is an auspicious time to begin new ventures, because what it's signifying is that we're getting closer to light. So then you have this auspicious energy. So if you want to begin, start anything new, a lot of times marriages, things like that come during this time. And then you go to sort of the brightness of a full moon. And Shukla actually means bright. Krishna Paksha is the dark fortnight. So you have the full moon, and then it goes into waning phases. So it's coming from this, it starts dark and then waxes into this full bright moon. What that full moon signifies is actually the end of a cycle. So then when you have the waning phases of the moon, it's becoming a little bit darker. So this is a time for introspection, spiritual cleansing, and a lot of times people will do more of the cleansing. I want to talk a little bit about darkness because I think dark anything really gets a bad name. And for any spiritual aspirant, it is really the dark times that will lead you to your light. So in that darkness, when we are in those phases of our lives, that is the time when we pray often, we focus on God often, we speak to God often. Maybe we start reading, we seek out literature or any positive messaging that usually comes from somebody spiritual or can come from Bhagwan. Maybe we're we're listening to a lot of his talks during this time to try to get answers. And there's a Sufi poet named Rumi, and I really love a lot of his poetry and his work, and he says it's through our darkness that we find our light. So when we think about our lives, when a time was difficult, that's when you really heighten your conversations with Bhagwan at that time. Why is this happening? Just show me the way. Show me where I'm supposed to go. And it is at that time. And we think about things like a seed. You plant a seed in the ground and it's in darkness. As that seed matures and develops and uses the nutrients and uses basically the wisdom of the soil, it sprouts and it comes into the light. And then that's when it really grows. And same for caterpillars. Caterpillars go into the cocoon. And a cocoon is a very dark, tight place, and they don't see light until they're ready to come out of that cocoon. And the whole metamorphosis from a caterpillar to a butterfly is an extremely painful process for that creature. But then once they transform, they become this very beautiful creature and they fly into the light. So I think that's important when thinking about Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. It's not necessarily a bad thing to go through Krishna Paksha. It just means that this is a time to look within and maybe seek more introspection and more wisdom and learn.
So actually, even higher meaning, Swami said last week we discussed about. There is one aspect, but real Krishna Paksha, Shukla Paksha, Uttarayana, Dakshinayana, that is due to the regular worldly sense. But in the higher spiritual sense, is nothing to do with that chronological time at all. Whenever the mind is absorbed in God, going towards thinking about God, that is Uttarayana, Swami said. Whenever you are involved in the worldly, sensual pursuits and think not about the self, that is Dakshinayana. Shukla Paksha, that is Shukla is another meaning is white. Whenever your mind is clear and has directed towards God, that is Shukla Paksha. By the way, yesterday, but people don't know this confusion. Yesterday is Purnima. Purnima is full moon. And there is especially yesterday, they call this Kartika Purnima. They celebrate a lot of people who believe in that all over the world. They do a special festival and go to the temples and do a lot of worship. So yesterday that means Shukla Paksha ended. Today the Krishna Paksha starts waning. So after that, like for example in the Shivaratri time, that is the time when the Krishna Paksha Amavasya. So yesterday was the Purnima, that means full moon. Prior to that is the Shukla Paksha. Now is the Krishna Paksha slowly goes down till the new moon. Krishna is not bad. Krishna means black. What is Lord Krishna called? He is black, so black beauty. So even Draupadi, she was the most beautiful woman is considered. She was dark. So darkness, but that is why what prayer we do. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Lord, lead me from darkness to light. The problem with the darkness is you don't see things clearly. Here suddenly you shut out the light, I can't see who is sitting there, what is there. So your whole visibility goes away. That is why you want the light. So the light signifies knowledge and clarity. So that is what you are praying for. So that is why tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amrutangamaya. This is the classical prayer we always do, right? So lead me from darkness to light and death to immortality. So we all want to become immortal. Is there anybody who wants to die? No, he says, yeah, Manfred is very positive. No, he doesn't want. Nobody wants to die. Because, why? Because we always eat. There's a beautiful thing in Mahabharata. There's a dialogue between Dharmaraja and it's being called Yachas, they say. There is 124 questions he asks. This man, he has to answer that to liberate his brothers. They were all caught up. So this Dharmaraja has to answer all the questions. He answers. One of the questions is, what is the most amazing thing in the world? He says, what is the most amazing thing? Do you know what Dharmaraja says? They see, everybody sees their own kith and kin, their own children, even their children, spouse, relatives dying. But they don't think they are dying. They owe condolences to you. That means as if you are permanent. It is nice to be sympathetic to others, but realize we are also going to die, because that is part of the life. Not to be worried, oh my God, I am going to die. Be fearful, but know the fact, so that how to face death. That is what Dharmaraja says. The most amazing thing is people are seeing people dying, but they think we are permanent. But there is a different angle in that, because really we don't die. That is why we don't want to say we are died. Because Atma is eternal. It was there, it is here, it will be ever. So naturally, but truth says, yeah, I'm not going to die. There was a thing, one of the philosophers was sharing, I think Bernard or somebody in London, he was taking his, some young boy with him, and showed the London Bridge. The boy asked, he was only 10 years old or something, and where was I when this bridge was being built? You were not there. You didn't exist. No, I must be there. That means we know that we were there, because we are part of the divine. We are here, we'll be there forever. But problem is, we think this body is going to be forever, then we are in trouble. That is the whole problem. All the demons, whether it is Hiranyakashipu, is it Ravana, Asura, they prayed to God for immortality. We want to be there ever. They said, yeah, you are immortal, but not your body is going to be immortal. That is the reason. Otherwise, there are great philosophers. Actually, Hiranyakashipu, when his brother dies, he's a demon. His mother and everybody was crying. He says, why this Atma is permanent, body is impermanent? He used all philosophical, like Lord Krishna, Gita. But that is what's bookish knowledge. He has knowledge, he is a scholar, but he doesn't practice. Same thing, Ravana, I told you, he has 10 heads, means he knows 4 Vedas, 6 Shastras. But what he practiced is not there. This is more important, is practical knowledge, whether you live a moral life full of love, compassion, helping, service. Those are the things that makes you enlightened. Not the knowledge is helpful, but more important is practical knowledge. That is why all these demons want wrong thing. They want, and finally everybody dies, because the body has to go sometime. So if they focused everything for self-knowledge, that problem is there. There is where people, these great masters, they know these bodies, like Ramana Maharshi, he didn't even care when they were doing the operation. He said, don't even give anesthesia. They said he had a tumor, they need to remove. So we want to do the operation, we want to give anesthesia. No, no, just tell me when you are going to do, and I will take my mind away from the body. They didn't even give anesthesia, and he had the surgery. So they have the control of their body, the pain. I mean, Sri Ramakrishna had a throat cancer. He couldn't even eat. But just he had a disciple named Nag Maharshi. He's a doctor and turned to great devotee. He was there. He had so much power. Devotees also get power. He wanted, sitting there, people were all consoling, oh, about how you are in pain, throat pain. Throat cancer is not easy, it is a very painful thing. So he was thinking, I will take his illness. This great sadhakas, great saints, they can take somebody else. We know many cases where Swami took, Shri Baba took. He wanted to take Sri Ramakrishna throat cancer. But Sri Ramakrishna is all-knowing. Hey, rascal, you cannot do that. I know what you want to do. So just, he says, this body has to go through this because he took the burden. But he was in bliss. He was, even though he has physical pain, but he is always in stage because they dissociate with some from the body. That is what we need to practice. As long as you have body consciousness, this will be there. So whole secret is how to go beyond the body consciousness. That is important thing. We started all the studies, the reading, you just told the brief about Uttarayana, Dakshinayana. So this is what the Krishna Paksha is. Krishna is dark thing. So Lord Krishna, but he was born on Ashtami. You know that? People say Ashtami is Ashtami. You will get a lot of trouble that day. So I was there in 1994 in Kodaikanal. I asked Swami, you say it is bad, but Lord Krishna was born on the day. So how can it be bad, Ashtami? Because Lord was born, so it must be auspicious. No, he said, if you are like Krishna, yeah, it is okay. He is beyond body consciousness. Where was he born? He was born in a jail, and he was his uncle was trying to torture him. Yeah, they had to escape in the middle of the night to the river, and so many demons went on attacking him. So much, so he had to go through from childhood. From the birth, he went on worldly sense. That is the most torturous life, right? How much every minute he is going through so much hurdles and troubles and dangers. But he is divine, so he could face. So for us, if you are at that level, no problem. But most of us are body consciousness, it is hard. So that is what it is. So you want to start now or yeah, go ahead.
Sairam, I'm just going to start with the paragraph above where we're starting today. Realize me, the primal cause. That is indeed moksha. He is the Jivan Mukta, liberated even while alive, who attains that moksha. Therefore, Arjuna, if one yearns to become a Jivan Mukta, to attain moksha, he must accomplish some simple disciplines. He has to eradicate fully the attachment to the body. Hearing this, Arjuna intercepted Krishna. Do you speak of this sadhana of complete detachment as a simple discipline? Is it so easy to practice? Even accomplished ascetics find it difficult, and you recommend it so glibly to people like me. You speak of it as if it were a very simple task, but it is a formidable endeavor. I can feel you were putting me on trial with such suggestions. Can I ever attain that state? Can I win liberation? Can I attain moksha? I have no hope, he said and sat dispirited. Krishna was watching him, steadily losing courage. He went close to him and patted his back in a reassuring manner. He said, Arjuna, there is no need to get perturbed and desperate just for this. No one will get faith as soon as one hears of it. One must delve into it with the help of reason. Then it will be found that this discipline is not as hard as it is imagined to be. To become completely detached, it is not necessary to grow matted hair, wear ochre robes, and torture the body into skin and bone. It is enough if you do all acts as dedicated to the Lord, without any desire. This is the secret of liberation.
You can stop there because when you have the secret of liberation, why to go proceed further, right? He says this is the secret of liberation. So once we have the secret of liberation,
we can stop.
We can put a stop there and just let's talk about this point. This is the secret of liberation. So we think so complicated. So what is the secret of liberation?
Yeah, we offer everything.
Yeah, I offer everything. So that is simple. Saya Panamastu. That is the first point he said is no body consciousness. So he says, Swami says, Naham Deham, Koham Soham. That is what the whole purpose of life is. Naham Deham, I am not the body. I am not the body. Go on telling. Naham Deham. Koham, who am I? Soham, I am he, I am he. So that is what if you have to go on saying, Naham Deham, I am not this body. Go on, but it's not easy because we have so many lifetimes we identified ourselves with this body. You can't overnight go. So, but go on telling and practice that. And who am I? Koham? Soham. I am that thing. So that is why here again he's talking about this moksha is important is this detachment from the body. As long as we have these senses dragging us, whatever spiritual practice is good to do bhajans and surveys and study, it is like Swami said, putting all these things in a nice pot and have a hole. Even one hole is there by the time somebody filled up and went there, that pot was empty because it all leaked out. Similarly, these senses organs, whether it is the eyes, ears, all these things are there for what you see, what you hear, what is very, very important. Otherwise, we think we are spiritual seeker. Finally, we end up nowhere. But all the things, good things you did, you start next life from there. But if you don't want to repeat the cycle of birth and death, we need to be intense, have clarity. So for spiritual seeker, vairagya is very essential. Is dispassion to the world. That is what, as long as you have craving for the world, you can, as Sri Ramakrishna said, if you are going toward the north, automatically going away from the south. So you are going towards God, automatically you will get distaste for the worldly pleasures. That is the test. For that, constant practice and faith. That's why in Shirdi Avatar it says Nishta Shaburi. So we have absolute faith. We have the Guru who showed us the path. He will take us there. And we should have faith in his words, scriptures. And third, most important here says, Arjuna, such a great hero, was discouraged. Oh my God, can I do that? We should have self-confidence. Yes, I can do it. We have that. There are people that absolute faith and then patience, nishta and saburi, we can reach the goal. But for that, we need to tread the path. We should have that. So these are the important points. We can be liberated for alive, but for that, we need to get rid of the body consciousness and get rid of the sense cravings and have intense faith. And you should have the patience to practice consistently. So then dedicate all actions. Somebody says, oh, Swami, we are so busy. What can we do? How can you think about you all the time? He says, when you get up in the morning, just say, Swami, I dedicate all this to you. And you can think about it. It doesn't need to have so many hours. Like Swami says, when you're doing shower, repeat his name or Gayatri. That becomes like Abhishekam. Abhishekam doesn't need to be only for the thing. And when you're eating, think about him. That becomes Naivedyam. You are offering him prasadam. When you are walking, think about him. That becomes the circumambulation, pradakshina. And so when we are enjoying anything, think that is the offering to God, dedicating when you are working. And when you are thinking, sleeping, you think it is samadhi state, nidra samadhi sthiti. You are in samadhi. So every act, whether eating, sleeping, shower, you can spiritualize everything as an offering to God. Then you are living in God. That is what Lord Krishna says, Yat karoshi, whatever you do, yat ashnasi, whatever you eat, yat jihoshi, whatever you practice, yat dadasi, whatever charities you do, all whatever you do, just it is done, automatically it goes to him. The problem is we think we are the doer. Once we offer, it's his problem, his responsibility. Did you want to say something, Pravina?
Sairam. Here also clearly says with the reasoning, not blindly, right? With awareness, with an understanding and reasoning.
Yeah, everything Swami says. In the beginning, you said you don't need to accept as Sai Baba as God. First, try to inquire, test, and then accept. Even Sri Ramakrishna, same thing did. Swami Vivekananda, when he saw Sri Ramakrishna, he says you should conquer Kamini Kanchana. All the time it says greatest obstacle for a spiritual seeker is two things. As we read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, my grandchildren would say, okay, about everything. There's throughout every 3 pages, lust and gold, lust and gold, lust and gold. Kamini Kanchana. Literal translation is woman and gold. But it is not right to say even woman can be tempted by man and man can be tempted. So these are the two obstacles, Kamini Kanchana, lust and greed. So this is why you need to be careful. So that is why you need to be see whether you have. And why did like to test the guru? Vivekananda saw Sri Ramakrishna could see Mother Kali, he did that. Really, this man is so detached about money. So one time when he went somewhere, he put some coins under the blanket, under the Sri Ramakrishna's in the bed. Just we tell it just to test. When Sri Ramakrishna came and lay down on the bed, God, he jumped around as if some stings of scorpion or things by him, because even he cannot touch the gold. So he says, he touch gold, his hands will go. And one time he goes to the Ganges, one hand he puts gold, another hand in the clay. He says, clay, this is gold, this is gold. Both are equal, and throws them both. They're equal to me, whether it is clay or gold. That kind of dispassion for money. And same thing for woman. The greatest sign of dispassion. Nobody else in the history I know at least of where worship wife as divine mother. He put his wife, worshipped her as a mother Kali. There is the highest degree of detachment and to this. So that is why even there Vivekananda wanted to test. He says his wife is really completely detached. He was sneaking and trying to find. There is nothing wrong. But once you know your teacher, Swami says, first you shake, the picture is there. But once you know he is there, then don't go on doubting. In the beginning you can test. Once you are convinced we have experiences, he is our Guru and God, then to doubt is the most foolish, dangerous. Samshayatma vinashyate. Man with doubts will perish. Swami says, once you have experience, you should have steady, absolute faith. That is very, very important. So when coming back to that, there is the thing you can test, but after the test and you tasted his love, no more going back. Just hold on. That's it. I think now I think the time for bhajans, I guess, right, Charanjeevi? So now your things comes.